sentence, and walk us through your emotions. What did last night look like for you?
Julie, actually, I think with NBC, texted me, and that's how I found out. I was devastated. It felt like the time when we didn't get the first jury indictment. Um, and so I initially wrote in my comments that it felt like I could hear my son's voice crying, have anything. That's what it felt like. But again, my ability to hold my composure and to not seem like I'm being angry or bitter or blaming the judicial system. I never once stood out here and said, oh, he got acquitted of the greater charge. I accepted the felony. Like, I just don't know what else that you want from this family that has been under so much duress for the past 2 years. And this is the judicial system that not just myself has to go through. This is an inequitable judicial system for black and brown people all over the United States. And had this been a different nationality, a different ethnicity, we would not be having the same conversation and we would not be in this same situation. And so it was devastating. However, I am grateful again because my prayer was, even if he spent one night in jail, because I did not believe he was going to get any jail time. I had no expectation that he would get jail time because of the current climate that we are in. We see all over the news every day the attacks against our bureaucracy and our democracy in this country. And so I had no expectations. And so the fact that he got those 3 days, I wrestled with it, I prayed, I cried, and I'm okay. I'm standing here today to give comments, to just say it is still well. We will still continue to fight for justice, and not just for my family, but you know, it's going to be another family coming this way. And again, the narrative is not about the police. This is not about the whole police department, Fairfax County Police. This is about the actions of one rogue police officer who the truth will come out, what he admitted to, and why he was fired.
Melissa, you mentioned hearing your son's voice. You and your family had to sit in that courtroom, or chose to sit in that courtroom and watch that terrible moment, sometimes time and again, and the emotional labor that you and your entire family and friends went through. Do you feel like all of that now was for naught?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I appreciate the judicial process that we were afforded, even like I said, in the midst of lies or attempted backdoor deals and every aggression that we could face to try to knock us down and silence us. So absolutely not. I feel like we achieved justice for Timothy Johnson. He is a convicted felon, and he cannot be a police officer again. He cannot carry a gun, and let them deal with the appeal.
Steve,
I think we had a, let's just go to somebody who hasn't gotten a question. I was just going to say what happens now. You're not worried he's going to get hired again by a different department. I mean, you know, what happens now? Steve, maybe you can speak to that idea.
I mean, right as it stands right now, the defendant's still been convicted of a felony, which would make him ineligible, certainly, to be a police officer in the future. There may be an appeal, and if there is an appeal, the state will deal with that as it comes. But this is so early after a sentencing, which is really kind of the genesis of a lot of this outrage, that we haven't even taken any of those next steps that normally would have been taken at the time of a commutation.
And then Julie, I think I cut off your follow-up.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, Melissa, to piggyback on the point that you were just making, you mentioned your scorecard, you're still one up, and I assume you are referring to the conviction. How important is it that that not be overturned on appeal? It may be years before we know what happens with that. Is that sort of where you pin your hopes now?
No, I think, Julie, early on, I have just taken the wins when we've gotten them and tried to resolve the losses when we have. And so I'm not projecting, and I'm not that far out. You can see, no one expected this to happen this quickly. And so I would dare not try to presume what was going to happen next. We are here. We'll deal with it, and it is well. I don't know what's going to happen. Look at the circumstances that we're in. It's just not predictable. So I don't know.
Olivia, I know you have a question.
I know the news is still new. It's been less than 24 hours. You've talked a lot about at previous news conferences about conversations with Shifflett's family. I'm wondering if you're still open to conversations with his family or the governor's office or the governor.
I don't know if I could answer that question, Olivia, because it's presumptuous that that would even occur. We're 2 years in. We're like 740 days out, and none of that has happened yet. So I don't know.
Final.
Steve, can you please walk us through the prosecution team's decision and what their thinking and rationale was when they went above what the senior parole board officer recommended? Governor Youngkin also mentioned that. Can you talk us through the pieces of the puzzle that you thought maybe warranted asking for more in this case?
Well, I will say that, the senior parole officer, his recommendation is something that's come up a couple times. Quite frankly, that opinion is not really worth that much when it comes to sentencing. Typically, that parole officer wasn't sitting in the courtroom, didn't listen to the evidence. Again, there was one person who did all that, and the one person who made the decision. As a matter of fact, our decision as a prosecution team was to just go before the judge, very quickly lay out what the facts were shown in the trial, asked for a period of incarceration, and the judge, in making his deliberations, thought that this was the right case, or this was the right outcome. At the end of the day, what we have is a criminal act, and at the other end of that criminal act is we have a dead man, a dead father, a dead son. And so really the question of why it ended up with 3 years is more of a question for the judge than for me or for anybody else.
I think that's going to do it for now, folks. Thank you for coming out.
I'm the founder of WeBAC, the National Police Advocacy Organization, and I was helping kind of piece together the facts for some people that were involved in actually making this happen. So. So I honestly, I'm not going to stand here. I didn't want to witness him stand here and lie about the governor. It's not of any interest to me to even, listen to that. The fact that he's alluding that the governor would take 48 hours just to look at something and then go ahead and make a decision is underestimating the intelligence of the governor of Virginia.
Are you willing to answer some questions on camera?
Yeah, sure.
Are you Melissa?
I am.
Hi.
How do you know?
I don't know. I got your number. I'm Josh from Channel 7.
Hi, Josh. How are you?
Good.
Can you just, sorry, wait, actually, I'm not going to ask my question. So wait for.
Sure, please.
No, sorry.
I'll answer what I can, but I'm not an attorney, and I'm just here because I was in the area. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. I'm
One
print
full
too,
It's
so
okay.
I get
All
it.
right. No worries. No worries.
I guess one question I have is, can you walk? I know you said that you were kind of part of the behind the scenes with making
Sure.
this happen. Can you just talk through what happened?
So, Wesley's mom called me on the phone, asked me, just said, I know you're the founder of a national police advocacy organization. This is what my son's going through. Can you help me? This seems like really unfair. And so I sort of wrote some things up, passed it along to some people, tried to reach out to Wesley's attorneys, and I think they got the ball rolling. And so I think that's kind of how things escalated.
And you take issue with the rapid decision, that what's being characterized as a very quick decision.
Yes.
And typically we do see these take
Yes.
much longer
For sure.
after a conviction and sentence
Yeah,
to have
so
something like this happen.
They do. They normally take longer, but to insinuate that the governor took 48 hours to read over something and issue a decision is an insult to the intelligence of our governor of Virginia, who's done a marvelous job here, and is probably, I'm not going to speak for him, but watching our law enforcement go through what they've been through, especially Steve Descano, who goes after them constantly in this very arena, I think people are just kind of done with that. They're done, watching our law enforcement and our first responders get stepped on, and that sentence was more than it was supposed to be. Why? Well, Descano can't even stand there and answer that question. He doesn't want to. He thinks it's irrelevant. The facts are irrelevant. What's important to him is causing a divide between racial barriers and between, socioeconomic barriers. The facts, he wants to stand up there and talk about facts, and he should actually talk about facts instead of try to upset people and get them all riled up.
Do you think the pardon itself sends a broader message beyond just this case, kind of to the point you were talking about?
I hope so.
I hope it does, because we had 2 officers that lost their life in Virginia Beach recently, and I would wager to guess that they were afraid to pull their weapon for the very reason that Wesley Shifflett pulled his. You know, we don't know. Officers don't know. We're in a climate, she was talking about the climate that we're in. We're in a climate where an officer is afraid to do their job. They're afraid to go after actual criminals, and we're rewarding people that are criminals. Ask Toscano, the case that just got out for the person that stabbed an officer. He had 4 days. You want to talk about 3 days in jail? How about 4 days after you stab somebody? And, you know, it's just, the law doesn't apply to Toscano. He just wants to make it up as he goes along.
Where do you weigh in? I mean, you still have a mother that's grieving here. I mean, I know, you know, shoplifting doesn't seem like that big of a deal. I know that the officers never know the situation that they're getting into.
Right.
But you're standing here listening to the mother, probably also makes you feel a certain way.
I'm a mom too. It's a horrible feeling, and I wish nobody would ever have to go through that. But I've got to take a stance. I've been doing this since 2020. I've watched officers across the nation suffer. Ever since I reached out to Wesley's mom, now there's a case in California, New Mexico. There's officers all over the country that are going through this. And somebody's got to stand up and say, enough. These guys put that uniform on every single day. They're there for your worst. When is it time to stand up for them?
Was Kevin Davis just as wrong to fire him at the outset?
I don't know why he did that. And honestly, what bothers me the most is that you don't stand behind your officers. If they're trained in your jurisdiction, then you should stand by your officers in the training that they've received, especially when in trial, everybody's telling you he did exactly what he was trained to do. So.
Roby's your last name?
Roby.
R-O-B-E-Y?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Spell your entire name for us?
Melissa, Melissa, and my foundation is We Back Blue.
Okay.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Melissa.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Is there the back Blue Foundation? Like there are like we used to deal with one in North Carolina all the time.
Oh,
Back
nice.
Blue, like
Okay.
Virginia specific or
It's I do it all over the nation. I have little, you know, pockets here and there, but I mainly in Virginia. Right now, I'm doing other stuff politically. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate it.
nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Oh my God. Will you? I'll text you. Will you let me know if this goes?
Please, it'll be on at 5 and 6.
Okay.
I'll keep you posted. We're always there to document anything.
Yeah.